Jen Arnold, the star of The Little Couple, has reportedly suffered a heart attack and is now in very critical condition. She has been admitted to the hospital and is receiving urgent medical care. Right now, she is fighting for her life. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this urgent update. Today, we are talking about a shocking and heartbreaking situation that has left many fans around the world worried. Jen Arnold, who many people know and admire, has reportedly suffered a serious heart attack. At this moment, she is in a hospital bed in critical condition. This story is about resilience, love, and hope as doctors work to save her life. For many people, Jen is not just a television personality. She is also a highly respected neonatologist who has spent her career caring for and saving newborn babies. She is a devoted wife, a loving mother, and someone who has inspired millions of viewers through her strength and determination. Alongside her husband Bill Klein and their two adopted children, Will Klein and Zoe Klein, Jen has shared her life journey with audiences for years. Their family story on The Little Couple showed what it means to face challenges with courage and positivity. Jen lives with skeletal dysplasia, a condition that affects bone growth and body size. Despite the physical challenges that come with it, she has built an extraordinary career and a loving family. But today, that journey has taken a frightening turn. It reportedly began on what seemed like a normal Tuesday morning at the family's home in St. Petersburg, Florida. The sun was just rising and the house felt warm and calm. Jen was awake early, as she usually is. The night before, she had been reviewing patient charts for the neonatal intensive care unit where she works. She is known among her colleagues for her dedication and care for her patients. That morning, she seemed like her normal self. She was focused, kind, and full of energy. She kissed Bill goodbye while he helped the kids get ready for school. Will, their son, was excitedly talking about a science project he was working on. Zoe, their daughter, was happily practicing a dance move she had recently learned. It was a simple family moment, the kind of moment fans of The Little Couple have always loved seeing. But later that morning, around 9:30 a.m., something suddenly changed. Jen was alone in her home office preparing to leave for work. At first, she felt a slight tightness in her chest. It felt uncomfortable, but not alarming, and she tried to ignore it. Jen has faced many physical challenges in her life. Because of her skeletal dysplasia, she has gone through more than 30 surgeries. She has also battled cancer in the past. She is known for being incredibly strong. But this time was different. The tightness quickly became a severe, crushing pain across her chest. It felt like intense pressure squeezing her heart. Her breathing became short and shallow. Soon after, she began feeling intense nausea. She bent over in pain as sweat formed on her forehead. The room began to spin as she felt dizzy and lightheaded. These are common warning signs of a heart attack. A heart attack, medically known as a myocardial infarction, happens when blood flow to part of the heart becomes blocked. This usually occurs when a clot blocks one of the coronary arteries that supply blood to the heart. For Jen, it seemed to happen suddenly and without warning. She realized something was very wrong. With shaking hands, she reached for her phone and called her husband, Bill. At that moment, Bill had just dropped the children off at school and was driving back home. Jen's voice was weak and barely audible. The moment Bill heard her voice, he knew something was terribly wrong. He immediately turned his car around and rushed back toward the house. Meanwhile, Jen's strength was fading quickly. Before collapsing, she managed to dial emergency services. She struggled to speak during the call. "Help, chest pain. I can't breathe," she reportedly told the dispatcher. The dispatcher tried to keep her talking. "Ma'am, stay with me. An ambulance is on the way. Can you tell me where you are?" But the call lasted less than a minute before the line went silent. Jen collapsed onto the kitchen floor and dropped her phone. About 8 minutes later, an ambulance arrived at the house. To Bill, it felt like much longer. Paramedics rushed inside and found Jen unconscious but still alive. Her pulse was weak and her breathing was irregular. The medical team immediately began emergency treatment. Her blood pressure was dropping quickly, and they started chest compressions while preparing a defibrillator. Doctors later said she appeared to be in ventricular fibrillation. This is a dangerous heart rhythm where the heart quivers instead of pumping blood normally. Paramedics delivered electric shocks to try to restore a normal heartbeat. Just as they were placing her onto a stretcher, Bill arrived at the house. Seeing his wife in that condition was devastating. "Jen, please tell me she's okay," he reportedly said in panic. The paramedics quickly responded. "Sir, we are doing everything we can. She's critical. We have to get her to the hospital now." Jen was rushed to the hospital in St. Petersburg, the same hospital where she had spent years working as a doctor. Now it was her colleagues who were fighting to save her life. At around 10:15 a.m., Jen arrived at the emergency department. Doctors quickly moved her to the cardiac catheterization lab. Her condition was extremely serious. Tests showed a complete blockage in the LAD artery. This artery is called the left anterior descending artery and is sometimes known as the widowmaker because blockages there can often be fatal. Doctors immediately prepared for an emergency angioplasty. During the procedure, a catheter was inserted into the artery. A small balloon was inflated to open the blockage, and a stent was placed to restore blood flow to the heart. For about 45 intense minutes, doctors worked urgently to save her. While this was happening, Bill sat in the hospital waiting room. He paced back and forth, overwhelmed with fear and memories. He thought about the day he first met Jen online many years earlier. They were two little people who had found love in a world that sometimes overlooked them. Together they had faced many difficult moments. Jen had fought cancer. She had undergone many surgeries. They had built a life together and adopted their children, Will and Zoe. Their family had grown stronger through every challenge. Now Bill could only hope that their story would not end here. Later that day, Bill's sister-in-law picked up Will and Zoe from school. The children quickly sensed something was wrong. Their mother was not home. Bill eventually sat down with them and tried to explain. "Mommy is very sick right now," he told them gently. "She's in the hospital and the doctors are helping her. We all need to stay strong for her." Zoe quietly asked, "Is she going to be okay, Daddy?" Bill struggled to answer. "I hope so," he said softly. "We're all hoping so." Will wrapped his arm around his younger sister and hugged her. At their young ages, they could not fully understand how serious the situation was, but they could feel the fear and uncertainty. Jen has always been the heart of their family. She taught her children to be brave and confident despite the challenges of living with dwarfism. Now, the strength she always showed others was being tested in the hardest way. By late afternoon, Jen was moved into the intensive care unit. She was still alive, but barely. Doctors placed her on a ventilator to help her breathe, and her body was connected to several machines that monitored her heart, oxygen levels, and blood pressure. Her condition remained extremely critical as the medical team continued working to stabilize her. Jen Arnold's body is now connected to many tubes and monitors in the intensive care unit. Machines are watching her heart, her breathing, and her oxygen levels every second. Her heart is still weak, and her oxygen levels remain unstable. Doctors explained that the heart attack she suffered was extremely severe. They were able to restore blood flow to her heart, but the damage is serious. One doctor told the family that Jen is now in cardiogenic shock. This means her heart is not pumping blood strongly enough to support the rest of her body. To help her survive, doctors are using powerful medications and medical machines that support her heart and circulation. They also warn that the next 24 to 48 hours are the most critical. Cardiogenic shock is a very dangerous condition. It happens when the heart cannot pump enough blood to the organs. Without enough blood flow, the body's organs can begin to fail. In Jen's case, doctors believe several factors may have contributed to her condition. Her skeletal dysplasia may have placed long-term strain on her cardiovascular system. Even though she never showed signs of heart disease before, the condition can sometimes affect how the body handles stress on the heart. Doctors are also worried about her lungs. After the heart attack, fluid began to collect in her lungs. This makes breathing much harder and is another reason she must remain on a ventilator. Right now, Jen is fighting on several fronts. Her heart is weak, her lungs are struggling, and her body is trying to recover from the shock of the attack. Inside the ICU, every sound from the monitors is important. The steady beeping of the machines reminds everyone how fragile her condition is. But the doctors and nurses caring for her refuse to give up. Many of them know Jen personally. She worked in the same hospital for years, caring for newborn babies in the neonatal intensive care unit. She helped save countless lives in those very halls. Now her colleagues are doing everything they can to save her. News of Jen's medical crisis spread quickly. By noon, fans of the little couple began sharing messages of support across social media. Thousands of people started posting words of encouragement and prayers. Hashtags like Pray for Jen and Stay Strong Jen began trending online as viewers from around the world showed their support. Many fans remembered how Jen bravely fought cancer in 2013 and later returned to her work as a doctor. Her journey inspired many people, and now those same fans are hoping she can overcome this crisis as well. Even celebrities and television networks responded. TLC released a message saying they were deeply saddened by Jen's condition and asked fans to keep her in their thoughts and prayers. Back at the hospital, Jen's co-workers created a small gathering area in their break room. Nurses and doctors lit candles and shared stories about the kindness Jen had shown over the years. One nurse remembered a moment when Jen stayed late after a long shift to comfort a grieving mother who had lost her newborn child. Even after working 12 hours, she refused to leave until the mother felt supported. The nurse said Jen has always been the heart of the hospital. She may be small in height, but her spirit is incredibly strong. Everyone there is hoping she will recover. As evening arrived, there was finally a small update from the medical team. Doctors noticed a slight improvement in Jen's condition. Her blood pressure stabilized a little, and her oxygen levels improved with help from the ventilator. She was still unconscious and still in critical condition, but the improvement gave doctors a small sign of hope. In the hospital room, Bill Klein sat beside his wife and quietly spoke to her. He told her that he loved her. Even though he did not know if she could hear him, he promised he would keep talking to her until she woke up. Bill's faith and determination reflect the same strength Jen has always shown throughout her life. She survived cancer. She built a successful medical career despite many physical challenges. She created a loving family and inspired millions of people. If anyone has the strength to fight through this, it is Jen Arnold. Her story also reminds everyone how quickly life can change. One moment she was planning her day, helping newborn babies and spending time with her family. The next moment she was struggling to breathe and fighting for her life. It is also a reminder to recognize the warning signs of a heart attack. These symptoms include chest pain or pressure, shortness of breath, nausea, dizziness, and lightheadedness. If these signs appear, it is important to call emergency services immediately. Jen survived the first stage of this crisis thanks to quick action. Bill reacted quickly when he heard her voice, and paramedics arrived in time to begin life-saving treatment. As people continue to wait for updates, many supporters are sharing messages of encouragement and love online. While this difficult moment continues, Jen's life story shows how powerful determination and compassion can be. Outside the hospital, another part of Jen's life has also been receiving attention. Even though the little couple is no longer airing new episodes, Jen remains very active with her supporters and followers. She continues to use her platform to support causes that are important to her. One of those causes involves helping make social media safer for children. Jen recently spoke about a new feature on Instagram that aims to improve safety for young users online. As a mother to Will Klein and Zoe Klein, this issue is deeply personal for her. Jen has always supported many social and medical causes, and she often uses her online platform to raise awareness about them. Recently, she also spoke about an important global event called International Dwarfism Awareness Day. This day celebrates people living with dwarfism and helps educate others about their experiences. On that day, Jen shared a message praising the strength and individuality of people with dwarfism around the world. She encouraged people to recognize the achievements of those living with the condition and to help remove myths and misunderstandings. She also spoke about creating a world where everyone feels safe and accepted for who they are. Jen said that by working together and listening to the voices of people with dwarfism, society can become more inclusive and supportive. Around the same time, She also shared plans for an important trip. Jen announced that she would be traveling to Ethiopia and another country in Africa. The purpose of the trip was to participate in global health work with other medical professionals. Their goal was to help improve healthcare training and medical simulation programs. Jen has always been passionate about helping people around the world, and this project is part of that mission. In another update shared online, Jen also expressed concern about family members living in Florida after severe storms and flooding affected the region. Following the destruction caused by Hurricane Helene, Jen posted a message explaining that her heart was with the people of St. Petersburg and nearby areas. She said some of her relatives were facing flooding and difficult conditions, and she hoped they would remain safe. Jen and her family have moved several times over the years, living in places like Texas, Florida, and now Boston in Massachusetts. Even though they now live in the north, they still have strong connections to Florida, where many of their loved ones remain. Jen asked her followers to keep everyone affected by the hurricane in their thoughts and prayers. Her message reminded people once again that she has always cared deeply about others, whether they are patients, family members, or people facing difficult situations. For now, however, all attention remains focused on Jen's condition in the hospital. Her family, friends, colleagues, and fans are hoping that the strength she has shown throughout her life will help her overcome this crisis once again, as the night continued. The atmosphere inside the hospital remained tense and emotional. In the intensive care unit, Jen Arnold was still connected to multiple machines that were carefully monitoring every change in her condition. Doctors and nurses checked her vital signs constantly, making sure her heart rhythm, blood pressure, and oxygen levels stayed as stable as possible. The ICU was quiet except for the steady beeping of monitors and the soft movement of medical staff. Every few minutes, a nurse would enter the room to check the machines, adjust medication levels, or record new readings. Even the smallest improvement mattered. Outside the room, Bill Klein sat quietly in a waiting area. He had barely slept since the morning. Friends, relatives, and hospital staff tried to comfort him, but it was clear he was deeply worried. Bill kept thinking about the many years he and Jen had spent together. Their relationship had always been built on understanding and support. As two people living with dwarfism, they understood challenges that many others did not. They first connected online many years ago, forming a friendship that slowly turned into love. Over time, they built a life together that included not only their careers, but also their dream of becoming parents. Eventually, they adopted two children who changed their lives forever, Will Klein and Zoe Klein. Those memories filled Bill's mind as he waited for news from the doctors. Meanwhile, back at home, Will and Zoe were trying to understand what was happening. Family members stayed with them to provide comfort and support. The children asked questions about their mother and wanted to know when she would come home. At their ages, it was difficult to fully understand the seriousness of the situation, but they could feel the fear and sadness around them. Will tried to stay strong for his younger sister. He reminded her that their mother had faced many challenges before and always found a way to overcome them. He told Zoe that their mom was one of the strongest people he knew. Late that evening, one of the cardiologists came out to speak with Bill. The doctor explained that Jen's condition was still extremely critical but stable for the moment. Her heart was still weak after the attack, but the medications and support devices were helping her body continue functioning. The doctor emphasized again that the next day would be very important for her recovery. Bill thanked the medical team and returned to sit beside Jen's bed. He held her hand gently and continued speaking to her softly. Even though she remained unconscious, he hoped she could somehow hear his voice. He talked about their children, about the memories they shared, and about how much everyone loved her. Throughout the night, nurses continued monitoring Jen closely. Her blood pressure occasionally dropped, but doctors adjusted medications to stabilize it again. Her oxygen levels fluctuated, but the ventilator helped keep her breathing steady. For the medical team, every small change required careful attention. Meanwhile, news about Jen's condition continued spreading online. Fans of the little couple from many countries shared messages of support and encouragement. Many viewers wrote about how Jen's story had inspired them over the years. Some said her courage during her cancer battle helped them face their own health struggles. Others said her kindness and dedication as a doctor showed what true compassion looks like. Messages continued pouring in across platforms like Instagram and Twitter. Doctors at the hospital were aware of the overwhelming support, but remained focused on the medical challenge ahead. Early the next morning, about 20 hours after the heart attack, the medical team conducted a series of new tests. They checked the function of Jen's heart using imaging and blood work to understand how much damage had occurred. The results showed that part of the heart muscle had been injured by the lack of blood flow, but the stent placed during the emergency procedure was still working correctly. That meant blood was now flowing through the artery again. This was a positive sign, but doctors still needed to see whether her heart would regain strength over time. During the morning rounds, doctors also evaluated her lungs. The fluid buildup had not worsened, which meant the ventilator and medications were helping stabilize her breathing. While the situation remained dangerous, the doctors felt